Shoot, man, I went deep sea fishing one time out in Seattle, and like 3 days prior to going out there, like it was all shut down for charter fishing because the swells were so high, and they opened it up that day, and man, they were still huge. I never been so sick in my life. I was like in the cab the whole day. I didn't even do any fishing. I was so sick.
All right, Matt, are you in here?
Classic, Dusty. Yeah, I'm here, everybody. Good morning. You want to just go ahead and get started, Alex?
Yeah. So what I'd like to do is have you introduce our guest, Jesse, right?
Yeah, is Jesse here?
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, Jesse. Thanks for tuning in, man. Everybody, we got a guest today. I met Jesse probably like 3 weeks ago, and he's been in the real estate business for quite some time now, specializes in multifamily. And just wanted to bring him on to see if he could bring some value for the team, kind of give a little bit about his background, and if anyone has any questions to jump in. But really, really good resource for what I perceive, and Jesse, correct me if I'm wrong, but multifamily, specifically kind of campus area type stuff. And Jesse, we've got a ton of people on our team that do a lot of leasing as well, just to keep that in mind. But yeah, man, if you want to just jump in, we appreciate you joining.
Yeah, so leasing is actually, thanks, Matt. Leasing is actually how it started 7 years ago. And started as a campus agent while I was at UT. I was a freshman, and I was like, I need to make some side money. And leasing was like the go-to thing back then. I had a friend that was doing a lot of leasing, and he was like, I was talking to him, he was like, he was hustling leases, and he was like, yeah, I made $10K last month. And it was like the month of September. And I was like, you made how much? And he was a freshman at UT, and I was like, all right, this is interesting. So got my interest and watched him do a small shop near campus called Campus Essential Properties. And the guy in there kind of took me under his wing, and I used him as a mentor. And I grew in the last 3-4 years after leasing. I got into sales. The key thing that I did that I think was smart was really just saving all my money. It was coming in, and I realized that real estate is exactly what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do it at a bigger scale. So I was like, all right, I'm going to save all this money, and then eventually I'm going to buy some deals. And so that's what we did. So the last 3-4 years, we've bought collectively about 15 million in deals. But it's been great, and it's been a lot of work. The groundwork really, the key to this, I guess, I could talk on and on, but the key to real estate really is just to get deals together. And that's where I bring a lot of the value, because if you can find the deal, if it's a good enough deal, you can find the money to put it together and the lender to put it together. So yeah, I mean, that's it. And I just started on my own. I split from my mentor last month, and I started Resolute Properties, and my office is on 14th and West Avenue. And we did the exact same thing as Pat mentioned. We buy multifamily buildings. We can put them to condos. We either renovate them, sell them as is. We rent them out. We increase the rent, so on and so forth. We started with small condos near UT campus, and then we went to triplexes and fourplexes, and then now we're up to the biggest deal we did was 79 units 3 years ago. So now we own about 75 units collectively, and it's kind of a hodgepodge of deals around the Central Austin area. None of the deals are sexy or have any curb appeal, but they're in such great locations, and it just makes a lot of sense. We're here in the Central Austin market. So that's me. I'm a hustler. I'm a go-getter, and as I'm sure everyone else is on this call. That's why we're all here. And so, if you want to go ask me some questions about more specifics, feel free to.
Yeah, man. Thank you for doing that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess a good place to start. I mean, you mind kind of telling us where you're at right now, what you're seeing in the market, like how you're going about your day to day as far as finding opportunities, and just, I guess, how you're looking at things moving forward?
I'm still moving forward as if the world is perfectly normal. I mean, I pay attention to the macro things. I watch the news, and I've read up on my history, and I'm familiar with geopolitics and what's going on in the world. And Real estate, I think, will be a great hedge in the next 5 to 10 years. I think we're headed into an inflationary environment. I think it's inevitable. You've got the country printing trillions and trillions of dollars, and that's really the only way to get out of it. The key thing that I'd watch for is if, like, capitalism and socialism really start to clash, which I think it will in the next few years. But I mean, the system is so rooted in capitalism that's really the only risk that I think we face. So I'm chugging along as if nothing's going on, and I'm still buying deals, and there's still a lot of money interest in Austin and Central Austin. So you can't just pay attention to the macro stuff and kind of wait on the sidelines for some distress to happen, because you can be waiting your whole life for it. So I find good deals. I put it together in any market. And, like, for example, I bought a deal 2 weeks ago that I'm converting the condos. It's 8 units. I've already sold half the building. So, I think if you're in Central Austin, if you're in a good area with a lot of intrinsic demand just by nature, which Austin is, I think you just got to keep going.
Absolutely. So how do you go about finding deals? Do you connect with a lot of brokers? Do you market to off-market properties?
Yeah, brokers, sellers, bankers. I call around everywhere. I call anybody that has any inclination of anyone that's selling any property in Central Austin. So I'm very familiar with all the sellers, all the movers, it's just, you have to be super ingrained with every nook and cranny of every market. And from 35th Street down south to about 15th Street, I'd say I'd have probably 75% of the sellers on my phone, multifamily 5+ units. And that's just, I'd call them and try to put deals together. And that's kind of how you got to do it. So if you guys are listening, if you want to, call around, and because I can't call those hundreds of people every day, but if you find a deal, Central Austin or really anywhere within a 5-mile radius of Austin, that's multifamily, 5 to 100 units, I'll help you put it together.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's I try to preach on that, is like, just takes a lot of time, just consistently looking at the county records, like having these conversations, just building it over time. So I totally hear you on that, and I think that's the best way to go about it. What, like, for people that are, a lot of our people are interested in all aspects of real estate, somewhat focused on residential, and, like, these conversations are key. This is a quick example. I just took my phone to an iPhone repair shop, and I said, hey, are you the owner? And he's like, yeah, I'm the owner. And we just started talking, and then I end up finding out he owns the building, and he's interested in selling the building. So it's like, it's just constantly putting yourself out there. What's your perspective on, like, getting to know these brokers, getting your name out there and getting plugged in? Like, what's the best way for someone, if they're just getting started, to go about doing that?
It's just like you said, it's running into those people. First of all, it's being in the area that you're targeting. Just physically being there. I think when you have an office there and you're looking out your window, you just see stuff and you hear stuff, and it's, when you're in it, you know things that are not online, and you can, quickly deduct one or two things and then call the right person to find a deal, just like you said. And then it's cold calling. It's getting on the tax records, and it's finding people's phone numbers and calling them up. It's calling the brokers and agents and the bankers that they do business with. And it's like, you're doing a lot of prying and digging, but it's kind of what you have to do to find these off-market deals. And, you could call, there is a disclosure, because you could call your entire life and not find a deal, right? But it's when you call and you're aggressive, you get better at it on the phones, and the first one's always the hardest, but you get it down, and the next one's just a hell of a lot easier. So you just got to keep going. There's no other way to put it. You just call baby. And get your feet on the ground and get going.
So a couple of questions for you on that. So a 2-part question. One, like, the best way you go about getting a hold of some of these people, like, I've done everything from Facebook, look them up on Instagram, whatever, check out their social media, phone numbers, all that. Are there specific sites that you use or recommend for doing that? And then also, as far as, when you get an owner, what's your perspective on, because my thing is, like, very rarely you're going to call somebody and they're like, yeah, I want to sell. It's more going to be like the sixth or seventh conversation, is my opinion. And just getting them to store your number in their phone is big. Can you answer both of those?
The best way I found is to look at the tax record, like you said, and then just Google their names, Google the LLCs, and then maybe you find a broker that they've worked with, and maybe the property was leased, that was on the MLS for lease at one point a couple of years ago, and then you find a broker that leased it, and I also don't like to, sometimes you've got these long-term owners and they've got long-term agents, and so if you're in a Central Austin old school market, you don't want to step on too many toes calling owners and going around people. And so I like to call, if it's a long-term broker and I've seen like a long-term lease history of 5 years, then I'm just gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna call the broker, But if it's something that's just like on the tax record, you can Google their name. There's a website called Manta for LLCs, and you can search LLCs and find exactly not just who the registered agent is, because they usually have a corporation that owns it, but who the actual managers and members are.
What was that? What was that website?
It's called Manta, Manta.
M-A.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that,
Awesome,
and then, I mean, yeah, that's really it. I mean, if you find a deal, it's like you can find money usually to put it together. You can find a banker to lend on it, and then if you've got a solid business plan, you can make some money on it. Or if you wanted to flip it, like, flip contracts like some of you guys do, which is, if there's a buyer and a seller, it's a market, it's totally cool. But, yeah, that's what you got to do.
That's awesome. And then like on the follow-up, I mean, what percentage of your deals are you seeing you just cold call and you get a deal?
So, I mean, the deal that we bought 2 weeks ago, I had been calling that guy for 6 years. And I got it under contract before coronavirus hit late February. And so I had to get an extension on it, but we eventually bought it, and like I said, it was a condo conversion opportunity. And so we sold 4 units out of the 8 and probably sell the other 4 in the next month. So it's like, yeah, it's a month-long deal that was in the making for 6 years, So, I mean, you call these, but I've called so many that they usually come around maybe 1 or twice a year. I've got another call with the owner at 11 o'clock. I think he's going to sell. So it's like, and I've been calling him for I called his sister who sold it to him for the last 6 years. So it's like these long, this is not quick money for anyone that's on the phone. It's not quick, but if you keep going at it and you're gritty, it's like you find a good deal, and it's a piece of real estate and everyone in the world wants it, especially when it's in Austin.
I love that. I love that gritty, man. That's right. It takes hardcore hustle all the time. And I tell people, like, I try not to miss a call for the last 10 years or text. My phone died yesterday. I dropped it and it broke, and I was freaking out, man. I'm like, man, I can have people calling me for 2 hours, and it's like, I told my buddies, like, if you're an athlete or something and they put you on the bench and you're just wanting to get in, that's what I felt like. And so that's how serious you got to take it and commit to it. But
right.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. And I know you got to go in a little bit. So if anyone else has any questions, feel free to jump in. And then Jesse, if there's ways that we can add value, man, let us know, and we'll try and make some stuff happen for you.
Hey, Jesse, I've got a question. Go ahead, Gustavo.
Hey.
Oh, all right. Hey, Jesse, it's Gustavo. I have a question. So it kind of sounds like you go after a lot of student apartments, right?
A lot of student apartments. Lately, I've kind of went away from that because West Campus is, if y'all are familiar with West Campus, it's like crazy saturated. It's got its own skyline now.
Yeah.
So the cat's kind of out of the bag, and it's just really expensive in West Campus. But that's, I kind of shifted gears last year to outside West Campus.
Well, I was going to ask you, whenever you were doing student apartments, did you see a dip of cash flow during the summer vacation? And then the next question will be like, how do you feel like this COVID situation is going to affect the student housing?
To answer the first question, no, we didn't see dips in our cash flow because we always sign, and this is a standard in the market that are among the apartments and condos, that they sign 12-month leases. if you ever see a 9 or 10 month lease, all they do is just take the 12 months and divide into 9 or 10 months. So we never saw that dip. And then even though like 75% of the apartments were vacant in the summer, the tenants just kind of ate it. And then the second question, the long-term effects, I think, of going to of coronavirus on college, it's hard to say. I think if you were a tier 3, tier 2 university, would be in some trouble in like in off city like Lubbock, or not to trash any Texas Tech people on here, but just like way out there. I'd be a little worried, but I think when we're in Austin and we have so many companies moving here, our talent pool and optimism that's here, and obviously I'm biased, I own real estate here, but my long-term thinking is that you can't take the University of Texas away. We're growing tremendously. We've got a great medical school that's expanding right on Red River. They're pouring $250 million and expanding the med school. All the buildings are getting redone. So I just can't see long-term effects of coronavirus, long-term effects of student loans and borrowing difficulties. I think I can see college being free at some point, maybe 5 years from now. I don't know. It's hard to say, but now you're getting into politics. But generally speaking, West Campus, North Campus, the density has been getting closer. So you're seeing a lot of density of high rises on Guadalupe, San Antonio, Rio Grande, which are just 2 to 3 blocks from campus. 5, 6 years ago, it was Leon, it was Longview, which is like 6, 7 blocks. So you're really seeing a lot of density in the next like 1, 2 blocks. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few years, because some of the deals that are 6, 7 blocks away, those are probably going to get turned into workforce housing or some kind of for folks that want to live close to downtown but not pay downtown rents kind of thing. So it's a very, very, very unique market, and every street, every nook, every corner is different from the other corner, because the zoning is totally jacked up and it's totally different. And you've got to pay attention to the zoning changes, because last year it changed for the first time in 7 years. So there's a lot of moving pieces. It's a little complicated, but for the game.
Thank you.
Hey, Jesse. So I myself actually, it sounds like I've got a kind of similar story. And so I want to ask if you could share, like, I guess a condensed version. It sounds like you got somewhere to be, but maybe just kind of your transition from, I've been leasing for 7 years. It's how I started in real estate. Very similar story. A friend of mine was doing it. I was like, how much money are you making? And he was like, yeah, I'm making that money. And I was like, all right, well, I'm in. So now I'm kind of leading this leasing team here, and I know a lot of people are killing it on leases, even more than myself at this point. And so what was that roadmap? What's the story on, I'm leasing and I'm killing it. And how did that transition go? How did you transition from doing the leasing into, more what you're doing now?
Yeah, that's a great question, because it's really, real estate's, you can't find this stuff online, like step 1, step 2, step 3. It's a very like relationship based thing. And my sort of fast track was really my mentor. I had a mentor, and I would come in and work 12 hours a day leasing. And he was like, why don't I show you some more extra stuff? And he's like, all right, this is how you do sales. So I went from leasing to sales, and then just like I'm telling you guys now, this is the exact conversation that I had with him 5 or 6 years ago. And he was like, hey, you want to know how to bring value to me? You find deals and I'll help you put it together. And so that's what I did. I would stay up till like 10, 11 o'clock at night. I'd find deals. And I got lucky too, because back then West Campus wasn't as saturated. It was a great time to buy real estate, and not a lot of the owners knew about the zoning changes that were going on. And so it was kind of discounted. So I caught it at a good time as well. I was lucky in that sense. But I had to work for it, like call till 10, 11 o'clock at night. And then I'd find a few deals, bring it to him. He'd be like, all right, cool. And then he'd take that to a banker, just kind of like what I'm doing now. He'd take it to a banker. He'd take it to his equity guys, and then he'd put it together. And then when we closed, I got either commission or a carried interest in it. And a carried interest would be like, I would take, instead of a 3% commission, I rolled it into the deal, and I'd get 10% of the deal. And of course, every time I was like, I'll take a carried interest. I didn't care about, the commission because I just wanted to be a part of the deal. That's how you learn. And so that's what I did. And then I slowly got into that network and then built relationships that way. And then, I saved money. The other thing is you got to save. Real estate's expensive and you got to have pockets. You can't just always use OPM, other people's money. At the end of the day, sometimes you've got to use your own money with your own ideas. And so I saved it, and then I kept relationships with bankers, and then once you do your first 1-2 deals, you develop some kind of track record, and then it's easy. The third and fourth deal are like pieces of cake. So it's not exactly a smooth transition. Every sort of shift of gears, you've got to be humble and take you got to eat it sometimes. But and then I guess the next step would be development. And that scares me. Ground up development. The last 5-6 years I've focused on as is multifamily. So the next step would be ground up development around Central Austin, and that's just a whole nother ball game, obviously. But I realized that real estate had all these facades, all these buckets, and it started with leasing and sales, and then graduating to buying single family or condos, and then graduating to fourplexes, fiveplexes, and multifamily into development. And I saw a roadmap clearly. And it's in front of you and in front of everyone. If you just got to take it.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, and it sounds like you really gained a lot of the soft skills and stuff doing the leasing, and then that kind of proved yourself and your worth to your mentor, and it made it seem like you were a good investment of his time. Since that's our most valuable resource. And so I just to circle back a little bit towards more the start of it, I think that would be really helpful for myself and for some other people here. So when you were transitioning into sales, were you still doing leasing to kind of help supplement income? How did you get to that point where you had that savings? Was most of that off of your leasing income? Were you getting when you transitioned into sales, were you doing 50-50? How were you splitting up your time in those, let's say the year 1, 2, and 3, when you decided, all right, I'm going to start transitioning out of leasing?
Year 1, 2, and 3, I was heavily in leasing, and the way the campus market works is all the leases, at least back then, it might be a little different now, but all the leases back then got signed in the fall. So, I had friends that were making like $100,000, $150,000 in the fall doing leases, and which is crazy. And so I did that heavily for the first, second, and third year. I didn't do as good as those guys, but I did fairly well, and I saved that money. And then the third year, I started getting into sales because we had a lot of surplus of buyers, just UT parents, and then a lot of investors as well, and then people looking to live downtown. We had the first 3 years were all leasing for me, and then I started getting into sales, and we were getting these leads, and I can't say exactly how the transition happened, but it was fairly smooth because I couldn't see myself doing leasing forever, and I realized you got to shift gears at some point and learn something new. And so I remember being really scared. My first sale was gee, you're buying how much? 300,000 this kind. I'm like, I don't know if this is worth it. Yeah, so it was really scary, but you got to make that shift eventually. And I think my fourth and fifth year, I was doing 90% sales and then 10% leases. And then now, I still do leases. Don't get me wrong. I'm not better than leasing. It's just I've got better things to do with my time here and there. So if a lead comes to me, if it's a client, then I'm going to help them out. I'm going to lease them something, but it's just not what I focus on, And that's up to you to decide when to make the transition, when you're ready, when you have enough savings to kind of not have to worry about money for maybe 3-4 months. Because sales, it can be hot 1 month and the next month just totally dead, and the next 3 months totally dead. So you got to be smart about that money too.
Right on, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm one of those guys. I was leasing in the college market down in Texas State for quite a while. So I think I'm at that point where I'm kind of looking to transition a little bit myself. And, I definitely that leasing income, it's super nice. It's kind of cushy, and it definitely, it's helped me, you know, where I have been working deals, you know, and those take a little bit more time, you know, to come to fruition. The leases come in a little bit sooner than that. So thanks for sharing, man. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Jesse. This is great, man. Guys, I think, you know, what's important to point out is it's hard, and Alex and I talk about this, is real estate's the byproduct, but I just can't get enough about that grit comment, because it's up to 11, making offers, tracking down owners, getting let down many times. Like, most of these people are going to tell you to screw off, but just pushing through that. And you got all the support you need with myself. I mean, Jesse can help you. There's other people as well, but Jesse, I know you got to go, man. So thank you for putting all that out there for us.
You got it. Best of luck, guys. Wish you all the best, and we'll be in touch. Just holler if you need anything. If you have any deals, give me a shout. We're Resolute Properties, and yeah, I'm around if you need me.
Thanks, man. Yeah, guys, we can probably stay on a little bit longer if anyone has anything else, or Alex does. But I met Jesse not too long ago through just reaching out, and it's just part of the deal. Is just constantly getting out there, putting yourself out there, meeting people, adding value. Like, I ask Jesse once a week how I can add value for him, you know, because that's the space I'm trying to get into a little bit more as well. And so it's just the process, and it takes time, and hopefully this was valuable for everyone.
Anybody have any questions or anything over that? Nope.
All good then. Alex, you got anything else, man?
No, man. Does anybody need help with anything today?
I got a question real quick. Do you guys record these and put them these calls somewhere?
Yeah, we do record them. Right now they're just shared in a Google Drive, but we need to upload them all to YouTube.
Cool.
All right. Anybody else need anything?
Yeah, hey Alex or Mac, I have something that's on the market that I wanted to see if y'all could take a look at just to see kind of how the numbers look on it. I have a buyer that I'm trying to find him some deals, and this one I'm not too familiar on how to get kind of the ARV comps and stuff like that.
Yeah, happy to help. One thing I want to point out is if anyone sends us deals like that, you know, you want to get comps from sellers or buyers, try to put your own analysis on it first as much as you possibly can. Send us the appraisal value, the comps that you have, your opinion, and then we'll jump in. And the point of that is not for us to not do the work, but we want you guys to go through that process and understand how it works and how to do it as well. And then we'll guide you, because you got to just get in there and do it. So yeah, man, absolutely. Just send us like your analysis of it, and then we'll give you feedback on that. Even if you can't find a comp, just say this is the best one I can find. Like, and you can be off. You don't. I mean, at least show that you're trying. Say I can't find anything, and here's what I did, and then that's how we want to try and teach. Like OC said, teach people how to fish.
Yes, sir. Will do.
Good work, man. Thanks. Yeah. Anyone else got anything? All right. Well, let's go get. Someone had something?
Nope. I was just saying, all right, everybody. Y'all have a good day, good weekend. Let us know if y'all need anything. See y'all.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We always appreciate it.
See y'all later. Thanks.